Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's video we are going to focus on another very important topic in terms of interviews, and that is multi-threading. So as I mentioned in my previous videos, that it is very important to understand the multi-threading, because in current scenarios in all the interviews, if you are going to attend a Java interview for a big company like product based company, so it is mandatory to understand the multi-threading, because multi-threading is a core part of Java programming language and it is being used quite heavily nowadays, because this multi-threading has many advantages, especially in terms of performance and CPU utilization. So today we will be completely focusing on this, and also I'll tell you some tricks like how exactly you should explain multi-threading when you're going for an interview. So as I mentioned earlier, that it is very important that your interviewer should be satisfied with your answer. So you are supposed to give your answer in such a way that your interviewer is satisfied, and that too with a proper example. So we'll be seeing this today. So let's get started. So let's look at the multi-threading. What exactly is multi-threading? So multi-threading is nothing but it's a process of executing multiple threads simultaneously. And when exactly you should go for multi-threading? So you should use multi-threading when you can perform multiple operations together so that it can save time. So till this it looks pretty normal, because you can find this type of uh, obviously what is multi-threading in everywhere. So let's dig deep and understand this first. So this is the what part of multi-threading which you are going to tell your interviewer. Then you must tell what is thread, because here we have seen that it is a process of executing multiple threads, right? So the question comes here is what is thread? So you should not go too much deep unless your interviewer asks. So here you can simply say that thread is nothing but it's a basic unit of your CPU or processor which runs independently, and it uses the shared memory which generally allocated by the JVM. So suppose we have three threads, thread 1, thread 2 and thread 3. So all the three threads will run separately. Thread 1 will not be dependent on thread 2. If thread 2 is having any problem, thread 1 or thread 3 will not get affected by the execution of thread 2. Now here in notes I have mentioned all Java program have at least one thread. So in a typical Java program, if you're not using multi-threading, so that has only one thread, and that is called a main thread. So that is generally created by the JVM. Whenever that main method executes, it creates one main thread. Okay, so now let's understand by example how exactly this multi-threading works and when exactly do we need this. So as I mentioned here, you should use multi-threading when you can perform multiple operations together, right? So let's see how multiple operations and what exactly I mean by multiple operations. So here suppose we are taking a real-time application example. We have a front-end application, then we have our back-end application, and then we have a database. A simple one I have taken. Now suppose we are doing a user login operation. Okay, now user is trying to log in from his or mobile or what or web, whatever it is. So now front end will send the request to backend. Now backend has all the logics written. So now suppose to log in, what I need is I need to pull the user information first from the database. Then suppose if there is any thing, suppose at the login time itself I need to pull some account details, other stuffs, which I have stored in separate table, that also I need to do. Then if there is anything related to if user has completed everything as part of login process or not, that also suppose I have separated in separate table in the database. So suppose there are multiple things that I need to validate at the time of login. So what I can do is I can use the concept of multi-threading here. Suppose there are four things that I need to validate separately. One user details, then there is some data related to the account that I need to display on the dashboard. All the details I want to fetch. So all is stored in separate table. So I can create five threads here, five threads from T1 to T5. Let me just write it here. Let me just pull it a pencil or a pen, whatever it is. So suppose I have T1, T2, T3, all the threads here, T1, T2, and then T3. So I have three threads here, okay? All the three threads I'm using. So T1, I can assign one task to T1, and I can say that you just pull the data from the database related to the user data. Then for T1, I can assign some separate task. And by doing this, what I can do is, by doing this we can save a lot of time. So suppose if we don't have any thread, main thread will only do all these operations. So at one time it will just do one thing, then it will come back and it will do all the operations. So suppose we have program, we can separate that program in subtasks. And if we have suppose three methods, I can ask T1 to call first method, I can ask T1 to execute second method and third method, and then at the end we can get the results in one place, and then we can process it and then send back to the front end. So this is the main concept behind the multi-threading. Now there are many things that comes in the picture here. Suppose it's multi-threading looks very simple, but if you'll go dig deep, there are many things that you need to understand and handle here. So suppose if you are going for a ticket booking concept, now there is a problem in multi-threading that was resolved later on. So suppose if you are going for a ticket booking website, suppose IRCTC is there, then suppose there is only one ticket that is left, okay, only one ticket. Now suppose we have multiple threads T1, T2 and T3, and this all the threads are executing at the same time because they execute separately, right? It is not dependent on each other. So T1 is also trying to access this T2 and T3 all. So all will think that there is on one ticket left, and they all will try to process it. But suppose T1 reached here first and it starts processing. Then T2 reaches here and it's also start processing. But at the end, what will happen? There is only one ticket, and all the three are thinking that there is one ticket. But at the end, what will happen? There will be a problem that will occur here, and it will interrupt the execution of the program. So that is why there is something called as synchronized that was introduced later on in multi-threading, and that we'll be discussing in our coming video. And there is also some concept of multitasking and what is the difference between multitasking, multi-threading. Then we'll be seeing the coding examples also, how the threads are working, how they start, how they execute, what is the problem that we face. So all these things we'll be seeing, but that is for now that you need to understand about multi-threading. And hope you have enjoyed this video, and I'll be coming back with another video soon. So till then, have a great day and thank you.